Sea milk.
Yes.
Remember when we were up in the mountains in Guangdong and we came across that temple?
Yeah.
And those weird statues.
I do.
That was the first time that we actually came across this whole idea of filial piety, right?
Right, it was kind of the first time we understood it from a traditional value.
Yeah, I mean, I remember we had quite the laugh because we went back to your place and we looked it up.
Right.
Because it was just such a weird concept. You know, some of the statues were just bizarre.
Right.
And it made us, well, gave us a lot of insight into Chinese culture. It's probably one of the most important, like, cultural things to understand.
And also one of the most important cultural differences that will get in the way of your relationship with a Chinese person.
Absolutely, yeah. So maybe you can begin by just explaining the whole concept.
So filial piety obviously means that your responsibility after being born is to take care of your parents, your family, right?
Yeah.
And in China, that is kind of how everything works. So your parents will probably hook you up with a house and money and take care of you your whole life. But when it comes time, after you're married and stuff, that is now your burden, your responsibility. I'll give you an example. Before I was married to Vivi, my wife, her parents were fully capable, working, all this kind of stuff, right? Everything was hunky-dory, totally fine. But as soon as we got married, her mom would start saying things like, I'm so old, I can't even do anything, I'm gonna retire, like this is, I can't see very well, calling us to drive her around to places because she can't drive anymore.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, my grandma at home's like 85, driving everywhere, doing everything herself, right? Sure. So it's not just a reality of like, oh, you got to do this when they're old. It's also like it's something you have to do, even if they're fully capable and able, right? Sure. So right now we're in a position where now they're starting to ask for help, and you know we're gonna have to do this and make plans for them in the future. It's also raining.
Here comes some rain.
I am not happy with this.
No, me neither.
But anyway, that is filial piety in a nutshell with a solid example. But you need to provide for them monetarily, give them a house, a place to live, that kind of stuff. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, so it is this whole idea of respecting the elders more than you respect yourself. It's about putting your grandparents and your parents above you in every way possible. And there are these 24 exemplars. Right? And these 24 exemplars give these stories, quite ridiculous stories, by the way, from Western standards. And I thought we'd highlight a few of them just to give you the idea of the mindset. Right. Ew. So, sorry, that was very judgmental. Yeah. So the first one that I'm going to talk about, is the story of a young man. We're going to the left, by the way. Yep. A story of a young man who had to sell himself into slavery in order to pay for his father's funeral. Right. So, you know, again, it's like going to extreme lengths to show respect to the elders. Like, your father's bloody dead, right? Like, his funeral shouldn't, you know, of course you should respect
take precedent over your freedom.
Yeah, but, you know, to sell yourself into slavery in order to pay for the funeral is a bit much. Right? You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
How about another one? So,
this one's pretty gross. Okay. I mean, well, depending on how you feel about this, but this woman, her mother-in-law, was sick. Right? Yep. And I'm not talking about mother, I'm talking about mother-in-law. Yeah, mother-in-law, yeah. Not blood-related. She gets sick and she needs nourishment. She needs more health, right? Yeah. Obviously in a time where food is short, you know. So basically she has an infant that she's breastfeeding all the time. Yep. And she realizes, out of filial piety, she has to sacrifice the milk from her infant to give to her mother-in-law, so her mother-in-law can, you know, absorb the young energy of this milk and repair herself, her health, right? Yeah. Meanwhile, the infant dies. Yeah. And it's funny because, like, I'm just thinking about that from a Western perspective, and that is literally the polar opposite of what would happen. Yes, you know absolutely. What I mean? Absolutely. And just another example, right? It's like, this is what you should aspire to. It's not that people do that in real life, but that's what people need to aspire to be, you know, practice filial piety. Sure, it's that whole thing about the elderly people and your parents are more important than you are. Right. I say, you know, in a healthy society, it should be the other way around. It's because the young people are the ones continuing your society I hate to say forward. This, but young people are more important than old people if you're talking about the future of society. Yeah, absolutely.
you know, but of course I'm all for respecting your elders, don't get me wrong.
There's so much to learn.
Yeah. So there's another one. This is my favorite, okay? The reason it's my favorite is it's because it's so bizarre.
And the statue is hilarious.
Yeah, the statue. There's a statue, right? Maybe we can pull up a picture of it.
Oh, we got it, yeah.
And there's a guy, and he's got this terrible look on his face, and he's basically scooping up shit out of a bucket to eat, okay?
Right.
And the story is, he tasted his father's feces with an anxious heart. I mean, that is literally the name of this exemplar.
That is the name of the statue. So and the lesson.
The story goes that there's this guy and he's sick, right?
Right.
So the son goes to the doctor and he wants to find out what's wrong with his father, right?
Right.
It's quite beautiful out here, isn't it?
It is. It's gorgeous.
And
it's
rainy.
Also raining.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's the doctor tells him, you know, this is pretty serious, but the only way you're going to be able to tell is you have to taste your father's shit.
Right.
And if it's,
why didn't the doctor do that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's like, and if the shit is sweet, that means your father's gonna die. And if the shit is not sweet, then it's okay. He's gonna live.
Right.
So let me pause here.
Yep.
So he tastes his father's shit, and it turns out that his father's shit is sweet, and his father dies.
Right. Well, at least he got to this. The shit didn't taste bad.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But I mean, that's the whole thing, is that he's willing to taste his father's shit because he loves his father so much. You know what I mean?
First part of that story is his father died, so he ate shit for nothing.
Yeah, I know. That is a bit stupid.
I guess maybe now, you know what?
Yeah.
He probably wanted to do it so he knew how to, if he needed to make funeral preparations and sell himself into slavery.
It's entirely possible. I mean, there's tons of like other more better ones that are heroic, like a guy who fights a tiger to save his dad and stuff.
Right.
I like those ones.
Right.
But there are also these silly extreme ones, like how there's one about a guy lying on the ice for the whole night to catch a fish or something for his parents or something.
Right.
You know, in fact, there's a Wikipedia article that I'm going to link in this video. You guys can go read all these exemplars, because some of them are good. Right. But some of them are just outlandish.
That's actually what I wanted to bring up. So yeah. I think it was done on purpose to make this filial piety stuff outlandish, because if you think about it, the way that Chinese people's relationships with their parents exist is not one of tolerance and acceptance and understanding. Yeah. It's one of, you're always wrong and I'm always right. So for example, Vivi, if her father is driving in the complete wrong direction, won't tell him that it's in the wrong direction. Sure. I mean, she will, but then her dad will literally stay on the wrong course just to prove a point. Sure. It's more important to be wrong in the face of your parents, and they're always right. So I think that, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I think that those stories serve a purpose to kind of prove, like, no matter what happens, you need to serve your mother and father. Yeah, I see the same thing with my parents-in-law as well. Like, they'll cook stupid kinds of huge amounts of food, right? Which is nice, but they go overboard. But they'll also, like, kind of force feed my wife unnecessary TCM and stuff, right? For no reason other than, oh, it's good for you. And it's like, actually it's not. It's unhealthy to be, you know, eating medicine when you don't have to. Yeah, this kind of, especially some of the weird stuff. And Sasha agrees. She's a doctor. She agrees that it's bad, but she won't stop it because it's her parents, you know, so she lets them do it, which is yeah, I think a little bit counterproductive, but whatever. It's like my wife is allergic to shrimp shells, just the shell. Yeah. And the most important time to not eat allergenic foods is obviously when you're carrying child. She's going to give birth to Olivia like 2 days later. Yeah. And what does her mom do? She cooks a bunch of shrimp. She's like, first of all, don't cook me shrimp. Just let's not take a chance. Yeah. And she's like, no, you have to. And then she's like, okay, at least take the heads and the shells off. Nope, she cooked it and then took them out of the soup and didn't tell her. Ah, man. It's almost like she did it on purpose, like she's trying to kill my wife or something. I know, it's terrible. Because she was right and she thinks that there's no such thing. Yeah. And then that there's no problem, then she just did it anyway. Yeah, it's kind of silly, isn't it? And then we ended up in the hospital and we'd taken freaking allergy medicine and stuff. It's bloody awful, yeah. Well, that's the thing though. This whole thing, and I did it in my whole Are Chinese Women Heartless video. Right. That's a question, not a statement. It is so important, if you're going to be getting into a relationship with a Chinese girl or a Chinese man, to understand that the parents always come first. And I would say it's even doubly worse when it comes to the men. Yes. You know the horror stories you hear about, like I know, for instance, Sasha's ex-husband, the Chinese guy, he would
he wanted to live with his mother, and he didn't want to go out and stuff because the mother would cook the food the way he likes it and wash his clothes and stuff, you know. Talking about like a full-grown man here, you know.
Right.
And it's the parents first and you second. Sorry, that's just the way it is.
Right.
And I don't want to be in this rain.
Holy shit, dude.
Can we find a place that's
we gotta
like an
over.
awning or something? Anyway, is there anything you'd like to tell our subscribers before we sign off?
Whether you like to ruin all of your thousands of dollars of camera gear in the rain or not, and your laptop and everything that you use to make this livelihood that you're watching right now, I implore you to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you think. Do your parents come first, or does the individual come first? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, absolutely. And whether or not you have parents or not, we love you all the same. So until next time, as always, you know the drill. Stay out of the rain and stay awesome. Let's just go in here.
It's cold. Don't forget, guys, every single Monday at 1 p.m. EST, you can see an ADVChina video right here. Click here to watch another one. Top right, you can actually watch a Lau86 video, which comes out every single Wednesday at 1 p.m. EST. And right below that, click on another SerpentZA video, which you can watch at 1 p.m. EST every Friday. Thanks.